Today we will be discussing about food quality. So what is food quality? Food quality is basically those requirements or parameters or characteristics of food items which are required by any food to meet certain standards. Just like the identity of a food. For example, if we prepare a food and we need to identify that food, so these parameters or characteristics will be termed as food quality. Just like if you prepare a jam and then there are certain formulation for the quality of jam, so those will be termed as the food quality for jam. Similarly, if we prepare a product and we identify certain weight or volume of that product or content of that product, then the amount of that content will be termed as the net quality for the net quantity of that product. For example, if we decide to produce a bottle of jam of 400 gram, then the quality or the high quality for jam will be somewhere 5 gram less or more for jam preparation. So this is just an example. And the other thing is, if we claim something in a food item, for example, high vitamin C or high content of some other vitamins or other materials, then those component of food should be there. So that will be termed as food quality. And to be specific, there are more different criteria or parameters for food quality, just like appearance, size, shape, color, flavor, aroma, texture, viscosity, shelf life stability, fitness for use as human food, wholesomeness, adulteration, packaging, labeling, all these come under the umbrella of food quality. So, if in general terms someone asks us what is food quality, then it is degree of excellence or value of a product or maybe fitness for use for a product in utilitarian term or in consumption terms. And all this are needed for the consumer satisfaction. So food quality is directly related to consumer satisfaction because every food item is produced for consumers. So if it is not satisfying the consumer requirement, then it is not a quality product. So we can say that these are those requirements which are necessary to satisfy the needs and expectation of a consumer. So now we can understand what are the dimensions of quality. For example, we want to design a product or food product, then the main stakeholder for this will be consumer or customers. And to keep this design according to the need of consumers, the manufacturer will manufacture that product and design it. And then he will keep other stakeholders in mind, just like marketing people or market or legal requirement for that product. So that is the main thing which are important for the dimension of a quality. And then the other thing, when he set a quality standards, Then conformance is very important. Those parameters to meet these standards. And these are possible by determining different parameters to have conformance, just like durability of that product, serviceability, features. These different parameters are general for quality but can also be applied to food quality. Some are not directly related to food but indirectly can be related to food. And in broad term, quality concept can be understood through a flow sheet, which is very important and introduced by Van Bokel in 2006. And in this sheet, food quality has been divided into two different factors. One is extrinsic factors and the other one is intrinsic factors. Extrinsic factors are those factors which are outside that product but are very important. For example, emotional or emotions related to tradition and culture. If certain product is not accepted emotionally, then you are not able to term it as a food quality product. Because if emotionally or traditionally a product is not acceptable, then people will not term it as a quality product. For example, the importance of cow meat in India or importance of pork or alcoholic products in Muslim countries. So even that product is of very premium quality, but for those people it is not a quality product because emotionally, traditionally and culturally it is not acceptable. Second important extrinsic factor is regulations. In every country there are some regulation regarding food items. So if those food products are not meeting those regulations, then the product is not a quality product. Therefore, we can understand that quality is relative to those extrinsic factors. Third is availability. If the product is not available or it is not meeting the demand of people, then it is also a problem. Similarly, price and brand name, these are also important. Convenience is other main factor. For example, if it is not easy to use, then the product will not be termed as quality product. And after sale service, this is mostly for non-food products, but for food products, just like if the producer offer the consumer or the marketing about the returning of product before expiry if there is something wrong happen in the food, so that can be termed as after sale service. The second factor is intrinsic factors. These include those parameters which are inside the food, just like taste, flavor, texture, shape and appearance, nutritional value, health aspects, shelf life, safety, microbial, chemical, and packaging. So these all come under the umbrella of intrinsic factor. There are three different aspects: flavor, taste, aroma. So actually flavor is the combination of taste and aroma. We should understand that all the intrinsic quality factors are influenced by the quality of raw material and the composition of food and the method which we apply for processing of that food and the storage condition for storing that product. Then the question arises that why quality is important and what is a good quality product. We can say this that those product which can meet the specification introduced by the production, these are called good quality product. Or maybe for consumers, if it is fit to use, then it is a quality product and it satisfies the customers or exceeds the customer expectation. What are the expectation or the requirement of consumers? First most important requirement for consumer is that the food should be safe and it should not have any risk factor in term of health. Second is commodity requirement, that the product should meet the required specification defined for that product and identified by law or regulations. Third most important factor is nutritional requirement. These are the requirements which are important in terms of satisfying the nutritional needs. And with the passage of time, people are taking interest in functional food. So therefore, a food will have a nutritional requirement with nutritional interests will have an very important requirement for consumer. The other factor is sensory requirement because the brain transforms sensation into perception. So if a product is not acceptable through sensory means, it will be very difficult to adopt it. So that is also one of the requirement for of consumers. And if we see, our sensory perception take place in a space that is closely connected with other brain functions, just like memory, culture, values. If we consume a product in a certain area and we like it, then in our memory that product is already present. So the sensory requirements then push a consumer to buy that product again and again. And the other requirements concerning the product production context, just like that origin or tradition of that product and the use of organic culture. For example, some consumer like organic food and therefore the product should mention that how, when and where the product was produced. Ethical requirements, this is also including organic agriculture or other important means which are needed for biodiversity, mass production or well-being of animals. Guarantee requirement is just like after sale service or traceability procedures. For example, a product or a food product is in bad condition before its expiry, then the consumer or the retail people can return that product to the producers. So this is the requirement which consumer like in a product. Requirements for packaging system, there should be proper mechanism of packaging Consumers tend to prefer products that are easier to handle. There should be convenience in the product. If the packaging material is not convenient to handle, then it will not be liked by the consumer. There should be some aesthetic sense in the product package which attract consumers. And the other thing is, the important thing is what happened along the food production chain. And these all are covered in process control, which we will discuss in our next lecture. These are the losses of quality during the production system or process control. And to maintain the food quality, we should take care of those steps which are important during the process control or the process during the production. And this is possible through the implementation of quality system management or quality management systems. Food quality standards. So what are the those quality standards which we can implement and get a quality product? Some of these different characteristics are covered in food laws and regulation of every country or every area. And if those parameters or regulations are not met by different people, then the product will not be considered as quality product. These are just like if the product is spoiled, deteriorated, or food decomposition happened, or any harmful substance have been found which can cause illness and injury to different consumers, then those food items are of not standard quality. There are four common standards which are implemented. First one is legal standards. Legal standards are those standards which are implemented by government bodies to ensure the different standards, and these legal standards are generally considered as the lack of adulteration or the lack of different insects or different foreign material or limits of different additives to be used inside the food item, or some conditions which are implemented during the processing of that product to avoid any sort of contamination or introduction of different foreign material in that food item. Second quality standard is company or voluntary label standards. This is the standard which is implemented by the private company voluntarily. This can be just a trademark of that product, or maybe some sort of different set parameters which are established by that company in order to make a brand for themselves. For example, a company can decide about the content of a specific product, that how much content will we be producing. These are generally used by private companies or supermarkets. Third is industry standards. These are the standards which are implemented by industry, or we can say that few organizations can combinedly produce some industrial standards. And industry standards are implemented due to the pressure from marketing, because the marketing people are in direct contact with the consumers, so they can identify the different ways through which the producer can understand and know about the importance of different criterias to attract the attention of consumers. So this is industrial standard, which is mostly due to the pressure from marketing. The other standard is consumer or grade standard. These represent the consumer's requirement for a product which we have already identified in previous slides. There are some other international food standards. These are Codex Alimentarius Commission, World Trade Organization, and under World Trade Organization, the Sanitary and Phytosanitary Agreement, the Technical Barrier to Trade Agreement, TBT, Dispute Settlement. These are all international food standards. Codex is very important. Codex Alimentarius is the commission which is responsible for making different proposal uh, regarding the food items, and this is uh, mainly consistent of Directors General of Food and Agriculture and World Health Organization, and they ensure the implementation of joint FAO WHO food standard program. Codex Alimentarius or food code, these are actually the global references for consumers, and they identify these standards to international trade organizations, and in short they can be termed as codex. World Trade Organization, this organization was established on 1st January 1995, replacing GATT, General Agreement for Trade and Tariff, and its members are equal to 200, which include 164 members up till now, and 24 or more are the member which are attending that meeting. The other term which is important in food quality is total quality management. This is very important uh, international standard which is implemented worldwidely, and total quality management is described as a process for managing quality, and it relies on those principles which are important for any business or to increase the productivity of that product with minimum cost, and that is achieved through the main goal, which is the customer satisfaction. And it is possible by integration of different functions and processes within an organization to improve the quality of goods and different services. What are the quality management systems? Quality management systems are mainly focusing on three main things. These are good manufacturing practices, good housing or good hygiene practices, HACCP, hazard analysis critical control point, and food safety. These three are combined to have a quality management system which is called ISO, and ISO 9000 series with include with the inclusion of HACCP is now termed as another quality uh, assessment of a product which is termed as ISO 22000. HACCP concept is based on the dealing of food item from farm to table. In simple terms, this is an assurance throughout the food chain. HACCP concept is the methods which are implemented in food production to avoid any sort of hazards during food processing, services, distributions. HACCP is considered to identify different hazards which may be biological, chemical or physical, which can affect the food safety, and then identify those and implement in the production area or the processing or the marketing area or those areas which are included food distribution or handling. Nowadays, HACCP concept has, has been combined with ISO 9000, and this is now termed as ISO 22000. ISO 9000 is basically the international process of standards which focus on the process control and customer oriented maintenance to achieve improvement. While ISO 22000, these are food safety management systems which are a set of general food safety requirements applied by different organizations, and it also include the safety plus the improvement of different products. So ISO 9000 series plus HACCP are both included in ISO 22000, and this is the main quality standard these days implemented in food items.